Welcome to my channel Tech Planet AI. So in this today's session, we would be deploying our fast API project using Poetry Docker uh, to your Lambda service, right? So we were using the serverless architecture model, that is your SAM, by pushing our API to your Lambda, right? So let's get into practice. So before moving, guys, so please do subscribe to my channel, and for the tech related updates, kindly like, share and comment. So I've uploaded all the part 1, part 2, part 3 Docker project using fast API and your Poetry, right? So please go through it and like, share and comment. Okay, so let's get started. So in the previous part, what we have done, so this is our fast API Poetry project, right? So we have built using our Docker. So this is our Docker file, and this is your Docker compose file, in which we have mentioned our Docker file and our environment file, right? So let's get started and just check whether our project is running fine on our Docker or not, right? For that I need to run my Docker, right? So I need to start my Docker. So my Docker is not running, and if I try to see the Docker, so it will give me error that Docker is not currently in use or something like that, right? So I could say docker ps, right? So error response for daemon. So this connection is refused because my Docker is not started. So I have initialized it, so it is starting now, right? So once it's started, then we are trying to run our Docker compose up. So it will try to like take this image, whatever is there in the Docker file, it will build it, and then it will try to make an image, and then it will try to make it up and run, right? So let's see. Okay, so it will take a couple of seconds. Okay, so my Docker is started, and in the terminal I will just type here docker compose up. So it will try to take this file, and now it will try to run, and my UVcon is running on this port. If we try to access it, so you can say that hello world, right? So this is running inside my Docker container, right? So this our project is executing. Now we wanted to build this project, we wanted to make this project up and live on this AWS, right? So for the AWS, so you need couple of things. Firstly, you need to have an AWS account, right? So you need to configure your AWS. Okay, you need to have some dependencies installed prior to working with your SAM, right? So let's get started in building SAM. So first of all, I go to this link. So this is your AWS serverless application model, right? So so you need to install the AWS SAM CLI on your operating system. So mine is my Mac OS, so I have opened that link, right? So I will, in the description I will put links how to install the AWS CLI on your Windows or your Linux, right? So firstly, you need to create your AWS account, then you need to install the homebrew, right? So in Windows or in Linux it could be a different procedure, but inside your Mac you need to install, have your homebrew, and then you need to install the AWS SAM CLI, right? Okay, so for creating the AWS account, so if you are fresh user, so AWS gives you free tier of some credits to your AWS services. You can go to it and you can activate that. So then you need to configure the IAM permissions and AWS credentials. So right, so you need to create the IAM user group, and then you need to configure that. Then you need to have the Docker. So Docker we have already installed. If you haven't watched my previous videos, in that I have given a description how you can install your Docker onto your Mac OS, right? So Docker is this mandatory part, right? Then we are trying to install the homebrew, so that can be done. So just click copy this and try to run on your terminal, and then you can check your brew version. So mine is already been installed, so let me check my version of homebrew, right? So it is 3.4.11, so it is the latest version, and the last commit was this one, right? Okay, so then you need to install the AWS SAM CLI, right? So I have already installed it, so you can just check the SAM version. If I try to check it, right? So SAM version is 1.5.1, right? And then we can upgrade also, we can upgrade brew also, we can upgrade your SAM also, right? So if you wanted to uninstall, so that also you can uninstall, right? Okay, so these are the options in which you could have your serverless model, right? So but what is SAM? What is SAM? What is serverless application model? So it is an open source framework so that is used to build your serverless application on AWS, right? So for example, right, so for the AWS serverless application, what we need two things. Firstly, we need Lambda service. Then we need to connect that Lambda service to your API gateway so that external users can use that service, right? So you want to deploy your application or deploy your service onto your AWS serverless mode, right? So that is Lambda. So Lambda is considered to be a serverless mode, right? Okay, so for that, this is, you can directly create a Lambda service onto your AWS account, and then you can put it into your S3 bucket, and there you can link your Lambda to your S3 bucket, and likewise you can do the operation. But that is involves lot many steps, and there are chances of error, right? So instead of that, we would be using your CloudFormation template. So what is CloudFormation template? So CloudFormation template is a method, or it is a task in which we have listed down steps in that we need some tech stack, we need some resources from the AWS. We can directly put it into that file, and then it will automatically create the resources for you. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so first of all, in this project, so we have a backend, and then we have a Docker Compose YAML file, right? So what I will try to do it, I will try to make a sam.toml file and a template.yaml file. So let us try to make it. So in this particular project, I need two files. One is your sam config.toml, right? And another file is your template.yaml. Okay, so I will add this to it, right? So let us try to see what's inside your template. So okay, so this is a following diagram, so in which we have API gateway, and our API or projects exist in your AWS Lambda, right? So basically what we are trying to do is we are trying to put our code which is inside your S3 bucket, and we are trying to put here into as a Lambda function, and then we could this service talks with this Lambda function, and it invokes that particular API, and then we can get response back through this through this API gateway, and the external users can get it, right? So basically these are the steps. So firstly, we are trying to do the SAM init, and it will try to create a directory structure. So we don't need to do that because we have already created our application in which we have this hello world application, we have this app.py, we have the requirements.txt, right? So instead of that, we have directly created the backend, and then we have the API, we have the main, we have everything in this part, right? So we don't need to create this again and again. So second thing is that we have your template.yaml, we have already created, and then we have another config file, right? So that is your this config, this sam.config.toml file, right? So these two files are only needed to build your SAM project, right? So this we have listed down. Okay, so there are more links attached to it, so let me check that link. Yes, so these are some serverless patterns which you can take it. Okay, so for example, you need to have your serverless pattern, so which is inside your SAM, and the language is your Python, right? So we wanted to do something like that. So we have a API gateway, we have a Lambda, we have a DynamoDB, right? So we can view this pattern. So what this pattern does, so this is providing you a template. So we wanted to create these three services. We wanted to create a Lambda which is being attached to a DynamoDB, and itself it is also attached to an API gateway. So you need to specify that this Lambda is being linked with API gateway, and is also linked with your DynamoDB. So how this linkage is been provided, so this you need to define inside your template. So this is your basically a CloudFormation template which will create a Lambda function, right? So this is a Lambda function which it is saying that its type is of serverless, and it has some descriptions, it has some function name, it has a handler, which handler or which a file or which function need to run when we are trying to invoke that. Its runtime is Python, and where the code structure exists, so it is existing in your source, right? Then we have your policies, that this has a policy which is referring to our DynamoDB table, and we have the events, which is your API, which is your this one API gateway, right? And then we have an endpoint also. So this is your endpoint, so in which we can access this endpoint and we can modify this and how we want it, right? So these are some parameters in which we can say it, and then we can specify it as a broad or a staging or something like that. Okay, so let's try to check this template and put it in our template.yaml file. So I've already created a template. I will share this thing into my description part, right? So this is your template, so I'll just copy paste it, and then I will try to put it under this template.yaml, right? So now basically what is it is trying to do is it is trying to create a serverless lambda function, and the function name is API lambda, and I will try to modify it with uh, fast API lambda poetry, right? Okay, so then it is a like memory size is this, the code URI is your source, right? So inside your source we will try to say it as a backend, right? Because we have a backend, right? And inside your backend we have the whole structure, we have the I will try to say it as a backend, and here I will try to say in your backend we have a main dot handler. Okay, right, fine. Then endpoint of the URL, this you can modify, you can give it a broad staging, right? So you can similarly try to give the URL of your endpoint according to your convenience. Okay, right? So this we have made our template, and we are trying to make a serverless application by connecting our lambda and to your API gateway. Then we also need saml.toml file, so I have also copied paste it as a toml file, and it will try to read this file, right, when we are trying to run our SAM, right? So it says that what is the stack name. So stack name is our fast API and lambda, right? So I will try to give as a poetry, right? And we have the deploy parameters also, and it also takes the capability named IAM, that is your that IAM resources, right? So automatically it will build. Okay, so now the next thing what we need to do is we need to build your SAM project. So what I will say, so we will say SAM, and I will say build. Okay, right? So now the build has been succeeded, right? Okay, so first thing that we are not trying to get the requirement.txt in your build, that is your build succeeded, right? So if the requirement.txt doesn't find, you need to provide your requirement.txt, right? So we have used your poetry log, right? So now in this project, in this your backend project, we need to create a new file which is your requirement.txt, right? So I will create a new file which is your requirement.txt, and I need to copy paste all the dependencies in the requirement.txt, right? So already it has been listed on in project.toml file, right? So I wanted to create a requirement.txt from the project.toml file. So how I will do it, I will try to search convert poetry log to requirement.txt. So this is the command, so I will also list down this command. So what it does, so it will try to export the requirements to the requirement.txt. So let us try to run it, and if I try to refresh it, so you could say that requirement.txt. So this is my requirement.txt. I will copy this, and I will try to put it inside my backend folder. Fine. Okay, so now let us try to run again your SAM build. It will try to build our project. So earlier it was not having your dependencies, so now it got the dependencies. Right, so now the build has been succeeded, right? Okay, so The next thing is that like we need to push it on the AWS. But before moving to the AWS, so let's say we wanted to check onto our local machine that like whether some issue is there, because like for AWS is a paid service, right? So you are trying to build your application, deploy it on the AWS, and then you are trying to get some error. And with every API click or with every API URL trying to hit it your API, you will be charged, right? So instead of that, so what it will do, it will try to build it locally. So exact amount of infrastructure or the scenario what we are trying to get out of the Lambda. So what I will say start API. So this is the command in which we are trying to start it at our local, and it will require your Docker, right? So that is why we have like made our Docker up and running, right? So now you can see that your application has been mounted on your API method, right? And your application is running on this particular service, right? So let us try to run this and check it. So now you can see that the image has been pulled. This is your public ECR AWS SAM emulsion. So this is basically your exact replica, and it says that unable to import your module, no module name backend. Okay, okay, right? So this has given us the error message. So this is what I'm trying to say to you, that you are trying to push your application and then you encounter that error. But the bad part is that like the AWS will charge it for you, right? So it says that the duration was this and the build duration is this one. According to the build duration, it will charge you some bucks, right? So instead of doing that, so directly pushing to the AWS or some application, you need to try it locally onto your system and try to fix that. Okay, so let us try to fix this issue. So why it is not recognizing our backend? So let us try to see it. So first of all, we need to create a file which is your init file, because it is not a package, so it is a folder, right? So we will try to make it a package. So inside your backend, so I will need to create a package. Then inside your API also I need to create this thing a package. Then inside your app also, okay. So okay, so let us try to build your SAM again, build it, and then we try to check it locally, right? So it gave me again error, so unable to import main module, no module name backend. Okay, so let me try to check what the issue is. Okay, so what I will do is I will try to create a new package and I will name it as source, right? And I will add it, and inside my source I will put a whole structure as backend inside my this source folder. Okay, so then I need to change my configurations. Okay, so here instead of using backend I am trying to say source, and from here I will say backend dot main dot handler. Okay, now again I will stop it, again I will try to run it. Okay, so this it is saying that no module name fast API, but we have mentioned the requirement of txt, but it is not taking this requirement in our hash file. Okay, okay, so let us try to move this, and from the project.com we need those dependencies numpy fast API recon. Let me try to put it here. Okay, so then again I will try to run it. Okay, so this like many times we have faced this issue. So we are trying to run a project which is locally working, but we go to the production, so some dependencies or something is not working, right? So now we need to make sure that we need to have the dependencies working, right? So let me go to this app, this main. So here it is trying to import a module which is your source backend API router. So I will try to remove this backend source from this backend. Okay, right. So then, okay. So one thing more, I need to do it. So I have not done it. So what is that thing in which I need to do it? So I need to have a additional dependency. So which I have not mentioned in my requirement. That is your Magnum, right? So what it does, so it will try to make our application uh, packed inside our this handler. Then we are trying to put it into our Lambda, right? So let me try to do this, right? So first, what is Mangum? So Mangum is an adapter for running API application in AWS Lambda to handle function URL, API gateway, ELB, and Lambda as events, right? So basically, what it will do, so we need to put this whole thing in your Magnum, and then we will give this app to it, and it will try to make a variable called handler, and we will try to run this handler, right? So for that we need to install your Magnum. So what I will say is that I will say code 3 add Magnum, right? So I will also update my readme, right? So in Magnum has been installed successfully, and here I will say that install. Then what we have done, we have also installed your SAM CLI. So I will be sharing your link to this part, this one also, and your okay, right? So then what we have done, so we will try to put this Mancom in our requirements.txt file and also in the main. So I will say from Mancom port Mancom, and here what I'm trying to say that handler equal to Mancom, and I will put a app. Right? Now we'll try to run and we will try to see here. Okay, so it says that requirement.txt file not found. So it is not trying to get your requirement.txt. Okay, so why it is not getting your requirement.txt? Okay, so what we have done, so we have made our requirement.txt inside our backend. So we need to put it into your source folder. So why this issue was happening, right? Because we have put our requirement.txt inside your backend. So it has to be, so that is why it is not recognized. So I will again build this project. Okay, so in these projects we need to follow the exact nomenclature and the directory structure should be exact, right? So where this requirement.txt would be present, so that you need to check it, right? Now the build has been succeeded. Now I will start the local server and will try to check whether it is up and running. Now I think it will probably done because we have fixed all these issues, right? So you now will understand. Okay, so now you will understand that why like this approach is very much convenient to use, because every time you run your application it will build, right? Okay, so now one thing more, so now we are trying to get the error, but now we are trying to run the API and API is working, and a title must be provided for the opening API. So now the error is exist in your this main file. So where we are trying to import your settings. So I will try to remove this, and here I will simply put a title, that is your fast API poetry SAM, and version I will be saying your 1.0. So now I will try to run it. Okay, yes, so now it is working fine. So now on the locally we have built our project, and it is good to go on to your AWS, right? So for this R&D or this error solving, so we will not be charged because we have fixed all the issues in our local system, and now we are trying to put it on the server, right? So before moving to that, I will stop this and I will try to push it into our GitHub repository, right? So I will say git status, and I will say git add git then git. Okay, so I will also share the link of my GitHub repository, so where you can check this code out and then you can also try it out. So okay, so now you can see that so this project has been built, and we have the deployment. We need to install SAM CLI, and then we need to install your Magnum also. So I have mentioned in your this requirement.txt, right? Okay, so this is all from my this current session, guys. Okay, so we'll continue this chapter, and also we'll try to move and productionize this API into your AWS. For that, I will create the necessary resources, and I will show you that how we can create it. Okay, so till then, goodbye, take care, and please do subscribe, like, and share. Thank you, guys.